And
Doing fine.
CBRE did a valuation on the property after that MZO, and the valuation changed from $15 million to $330 million. So that,
Whoa! So how many people got to get fired before Ford disappears now? Like how many guys are going to stand in front of this runaway train?
well, what do you guys think? I mean, don't you think that all the other MPPs came up to him and said, dude, the numbers are not looking good. I'm getting shot all over by my constituents. And I think if you look at the polling, the polling data I saw was like 85% of Ontarians wanted the land put back. You know, that's pretty tough. And also support, I think a third of people who voted for Ford in the last election literally were thinking about voting for somebody else in the next election based on this whole situation, which is really interesting. But like, don't you guys think
most of the
all
voters, like weren't most of the voters pro housing that went for Ford anyways? Like, weren't they all like, oh, cool, like that's good for somebody?
Yes, I think that most people, though, I think most people know that taking the land out of the Greenbelt and adding to the land stock is not going to really change the dynamics in the marketplace. You know, that's what the Ontario, you know, affordable housing, whatever task force, they came to that conclusion. That was the guy from Scotia Capital Markets that was leading that. You know, that's what the Auditor General, she went and talked to all the different municipalities. If you just look, right, I actually double checked my stats because the last time, you know, talking with you guys, I think I said the number like 300 square kilometers within the municipal boundaries of greenfield land, you know, that's approved for development right now in the GTHA, but it's actually 590 square kilometers. So that's 150,000 acres.
That is so much
a lot of houses you can build
when
in that
you
area.
square the difference. Like that's a lot bigger.
Yeah,
it's
not a little mistake. Yeah, okay.
The
you could work for the government. This is great.
Tell me that's an axe in your hand.
You're bang on.
That's an axe.
Is that an axe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say right off the bat.
If it wasn't an axe, I would be disappointed. Okay.
Oh yeah, man. I don't know about you. It's scientifically proven that your testosterone levels will rise 30% if you have an axe in your hand. So I just carry this around all day.
Yeah, I'll try it.
It makes sense. What about a shield? Do you carry a shield while you walk around?
No, Daryl. But
how does that make you feel? Yeah, that'll make you feel pretty cool.
If you have a shield, you'll just have a full-on erection.
My 2 cents. Okay,
that's a first for the show.
Doug Ford right now has just announced that he's not going to change it in the future, right? But Paul Calandra, the housing minister, was talking about studying the Greenbelt and all that kind of stuff. I think they're going to start studying the Greenbelt more, and I think that
realizing that this property should go
based on a study that there's going to be some properties that don't need to be part of the Greenbelt, and maybe some properties that do. And I think that they'll do a more thorough investigation, because I think this has come to light, in my opinion, my incredibly ignorant and naive opinion. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not an environmentalist or scientist in any way, but I do believe that any decisions that were made to put certain lands in the Greenbelt were rushed, and that there really wasn't as much thought as there needed to be to put the Greenbelt
20 years
in place. So I think that
years.
they should study it again. Maybe there needs to be more in the Greenbelt, and that all the land that's there needs to stay, and they need to increase it. I don't know, but I think that they'll start doing some studies to figure out what needs to happen, and that will leave some room for some of the Greenbelt land.
You wanna bet that this will happen as part of the future? You want to bet that somehow the same developers will somehow be granted these MZOs on other sites somewhere else to make up for this?
It's a definite possibility. I mean, that's what happened to the Drudge family farm in Markham, right? That Shakir Rahmatullah bought. He bought it from them for $15 million. He bought 100 acres for $15 million. And the problem with that property is that I think only about 10% of it was in the Greenbelt, which he did get taken out as part of this Greenbelt land swap. But the main thing that happened for him was that area was all zoned agriculture only, right? It was in the White Belt. It was zoned agriculture only, so it was not part of the Markham, you know, municipal boundaries. It wasn't part of that 590 square kilometers that's set up and approved for development right now. So he, you know, I guess during his rub and tug mission to Las Vegas with the boys from Dougie's cabinet, was able to get Doug to issue an MZO to take the Drudge family farm to change the zoning. Right. And that still left, I guess, 10 out of the 100 acres in the Greenbelt. but that still gave him 90 acres where he could build on. And
doing fine.
CBRE did a valuation on the property after that MZO, and the valuation changed from $15 million to $330 million. So
whoa, and then
That's
one
corrupt.
one set of rub and tugs in Las Vegas can make you a few $100 million in Ontario.
It should be about $2 million
Lesson
an acre
learned.
for that land. It should be about $2 million an acre. So sometimes these appraisals are just kind of like, you know, they're just there.
I think right. I think that CBRE number might be like including after you build it out and you sell it, like the total valuation if you
of each of the houses too and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I imagine, because I think you're
sense.
like 330 for 100 acres is like a lot of money. But I mean, if you put, you know, if you're selling a unit of housing for $1 million, it's like that quickly becomes a lot of money, right?
It's the same bankers that Rice is using for the loan in the Greenbelt.
That's
obviously
crazy,
right? Because
That's
those
so
valuations are next
And
level.
RBC's involved, right? So it's like, you know, like how are they underwriting that? Like, what is that based off of? All the deals that we're doing are all like VTBs and stuff like that. Like sellers are financing.
Yeah, and they're getting
VTBs right
6
now.
billion% over purchase price, right?
Which-
Based on what? Based on what? So
Yeah. Which
maybe
are not
there's
all,
a
which are
rare
not all
bird.
rosy, by the way. I got one VTB, which is a vendor take back mortgage, gone to bad, where the seller holds the mortgage instead of them going to the bank afterwards. And I got one that I did that was a $1.7 million VTB, and the person's like behind on their payments and stuff like that. Like it's not going so well because it's a project and they're working on it and everything else.
Oh
And so
no.
they're asking me like, you know, well, what do you do? And I said like, well, you give them notice. I mean, what are you talking about? What do you do? Right. And they feel bad and everything like that. But I said, look, this is what you knew was going to be part of the rights that you have as the mortgage holder, is that if they're going to be in default, you need to be giving them notice and start, you know, proceeding if they get behind a few months. But
It's
at
like
the end of the day,
people
they're not going to let that go too far, I imagine.
It's like people aren't thinking worst case scenario. Like, comment, and subscribe if you got anything from one of these clips. And if you want to see some more, press something on the screen here. Boom.
That was good.
That was good. I like that. That was good.